I'm not worried about the Blue Jackets losing to Buffalo last night, and here's why you shouldn't be either. We're going to talk about that on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I also have to let you know this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Got to talk about not last night's game. I realized I said that in the intro. The game was 2 days ago. I know how time works. Got to talk a little bit about the game against Buffalo, about tonight's game versus Utah, and about Zach Werenski, who skated with Provorov this morning, which bodes well for him being in the lineup. So let's get into it, shall we? Not a great game in Buffalo. Okay. The game I thought was fine, ? I've seen better games from several Blue Jackets. I've also seen worse games from basically every Blue Jacket, it was a frustrating game. We were due a subpar Elvis performance, shall we say. Yes, I think all 3 goals were, deflections. I'm not going to rag on the guy too much, but after a stretch of really, really good play, it felt like it was a little bit flat last night. They lost the goaltending battle in a big way, which, of course, they did, because I spent a bunch of time talking about how they're going to see Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and I would rather that they saw James Reimer, and instead they saw James Reimer, and he made 27 of 29 saves, including some really, really excellent ones. So that's on me, I guess. But like I said, we were due an Elvis game like that. It wasn't the worst Elvis game I've ever seen. Wasn't the best, but it was pretty solidly in the middle. So after a stretch of really, really good play, I'm not super worried. He's going to be in net tonight again versus Utah. I guess I don't know what's happening with Tarasov. I guess he's they might play him against the Rangers because he played so well last time, but I guess it depends on how tonight goes. Who could say? But Blue Jackets lose the goaltending battle, but they win basically the everywhere else battle. They outshot the Sabres 29-21. I thought Ivan Provorov had a really good game. He played a bajillion minutes. 28-27 was his final total. He had 3 shots on goal, which I believe was tied for the lead. No, Ken Johnson and Zach Aston Reese had 5 shots on goal in that game. That's very funny. In 13 minutes of ice time. Good for Aston Reese. But led defenseman in ice time, in shots, in blocks, in basically everything. I thought Dante had a great game as well. The third pairing was exactly as much of an adventure as we thought it was going to be, right? It sure did keep happening, but penalty kill did its job. Power play continues to slide. And honestly, the Blue Jackets aren't in trouble in the standings yet. And that's kind of the bigger thing for me is you're going to lose games. I thought the overall effort was there. You're missing Zach Werenski. You're missing Kirill Marchenko. You're missing Sean Monahan, who admittedly you've been missing for about a month now. You're missing Dante Fabbro, who you're going to continue to be missing. Marchenko's out for a while as well. Hopefully Zach Werenski's back tonight. We'll talk about that in a minute here. But that's a lot of your offensive firepower. Your top 2 defensemen who have really clicked, your leading goal scorer, your number 1 center. Yes, Buffalo is missing Tage Thompson, who is approximately 50% of the entire offense of the Buffalo Sabres. But the Blue Jackets, I thought, did a good job especially offensively, which was what people were worried about. Like, yes, they didn't score, but they outshot the Sabres. They outscoring chanced the Sabres. That Kent Johnson goal was disgusting. Truly a goal of the season candidate, and I really hope it shows up on those behind the scenes Johnson and Fantilli blind rank goals compilations that I've been really enjoying. Like, again, great to see Provorov get a goal. He's got goals in back-to-back games now, so I guess he really is taking the your Zach Werenski now role to heart. But it's going to be really good to have Werenski back in tonight if he is indeed playing. Overall, like I said, a frustrating game. Would have loved to win. I think it was winnable. Sometimes a goalie just has a game. That's the other thing as well that hasn't happened to the Blue Jackets in a minute here is sometimes a goalie just has a game. An unexpected goalie as well, I would like to say. So, like, they got a little bit goalied by Shesterkin and Sorokin in that New York doubleheader last week sometime, the week before. I don't know how time works anymore. But like, when was like the last time they got like really properly goalied by a I'm not going to say a subpar goalie because that's kind of mean, but an unexpected goalie, shall we say? Like, it's been a minute. So again, they were due. 2 goals on 29 shots is not terrible. It's not great, but that Provorov goal really kind of lifted the team. And I do want to say credit to them for the third period. They outshot the Sabres 8-1 in that third period. So, like, again, they pushed really hard. They didn't concede an empty net goal, which is great because the Blue Jackets love to concede empty net goals, I feel like. And it was a game all the way to the end. So, like, yeah, they didn't get the result, but if you'll permit me, a hockey cliche or two, like, they battled right up to the final whistle. They just couldn't get it done, So I'm not worried. We'll see how tonight goes, which I want to talk about in a minute here. But, like, definitely, like, missing Marchenko, Werenski, etc., it definitely could have been worse. And I thought the next man up mentality was for the most part there. I'm interested to see how it goes tonight. There's going to be a little bit of a different look with the lines. They called up Dylan Gambrell as the 13th forward, didn't play him. I wondered if they might call up somebody else. Trey Fix-Wolansky is back from Palm Springs now after his All-Star game trip. But apparently not. It seems like they're just going to be rolling with 12 forwards. They might call up a 13th just in case. But it looks like Werenski's going to be in. Johnson is going to be out, I think, was the 7th defenseman. I literally just looked at the lines and then immediately forgot. Yeah, it looks like Johnson's the odd man out, and then they flipped Sillinger and Kent Johnson on the top 2 lines. So it's going to be Voronkov, Fantilli, and Johnson, which I love. JVR, Dalbo, Baluz, and Sillinger, which I also like. I would flip Dalbo, Baluz, and Sillinger and have Sillinger down the middle there, but I can't argue with having Dalbo, Baluz on that second line. He's been great. And then the same bottom 6 guys, Asterisk, Danforth, Olivier, and then Pucci, Corrali, LeBanc. Werenski and Provorov on the first defense pairing, which is the biggest hint that Werenski's probably going to play tonight. Because otherwise I feel like they would probably have someone else in that spot and have him rotating in. But having Werenski on that first pairing says he's probably going to be in, unless he like wakes up from his nap and is like, actually, I don't want to. My guess is he's probably going to be in. Matejchuk Stevenson as the second pairing is going to get interesting. And then Christensen Harris, we'll see. I've seen some really good games from that duo, and I've seen some really terrible games from that duo. So we'll see what happens. But don't hate this lineup. They've made tweaks from the last game, which again, like, how refreshing is it to have a coach that will just kind of make tweaks like that? Because I feel like with Pascal Vincent, it was either change everything or change nothing. Like, he would either roll out the exact same lineup for 5, 6, 7 losses in a row. And then after one bad game, he would turn around and like just completely tear up the lines and have 4 brand new lines with guys that have never played together before. But Everson, he knows what works. He's tweaking it. It would be very easy to adjust in game as well. Just flip Sillinger and Johnson back. And we'll see how it goes. But I am quietly confident about this. Again, I think having Werenski back is great news. So let's talk about what that means for the Blue Jackets in just a second. Here are Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I've got to talk to you about Game Time. Are you looking for tickets to your next big event? Whether it's a concert, a comedy show, or a sports game, finding the right ticket at the right price can be a real headache. But with Game Time Picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. The app does all the hard work for you with Game Time Picks. It curates the best deals so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. I've been using it for a little bit now, and the deals make it really simple to find great tickets at a great price. You don't have to sift through thousands of options, and the seat view feature is a real game changer. Before I even hit buy, I can see exactly what my view will look like in the venue, and that's really reassuring. Best part, you're covered with Game Time's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they will refund 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk a little bit about who I would like to show up for the Blue Jackets tonight. And also, well, we're going to talk about Werenski first, because obviously we're going to talk about Werenski, but this could be an interesting game. The Blue Jackets just played Utah like a week ago in Utah. They were up 2-0. Blue Jackets come back to win 3-2 in overtime. Really fun game if you're a Blue Jacket. Probably less fun if you are the Utah Hockey Club. They just won against Philadelphia in overtime, but they were on a 5-game losing streak before that. But in terms of the Blue Jackets, I'm really interested to see again how that Voronkov, Fantilli, Sillinger, Voronkov, Fantilli, Johnson line works. Johnson has been again on fire. He's on an 8-game point streak right now. He's got, I think, 9 points in that stretch. He's got 11 points in his last 10 games, I believe. So like, it makes sense that you put him up there. In terms of like the Blue Jackets in general, he played there not last game, but the game that Marchenko missed the third period of. They put Kent Johnson up onto that top line, and it went pretty well. I'm just pulling up the numbers right now. At 5-on-5, they only played 4.5 minutes together, but in those 4.5 minutes, they were on the ice for 11 shot attempts for and only 3 against, which was by far the best line for the Blue Jackets. They outshot 6-2 in that time as well. And had an expected goals for percentage of 62%. So like, no complaints from me about that line whatsoever. And giving them an entire game together can only be a good thing, I think. I'm a little surprised they didn't do it against Buffalo, but I don't know whether they wanted to put Delbar Blues back in that spot. We know that he works well with Johnson and James Van Riemsdyk, but for whatever reason, they put Sillinger up there. That line was fine, I thought. It wasn't like out of this world good. It wasn't dominant. I know I saw someone say that they loved this because what that line needs is someone that can win puck battles and shoot the puck, and Cole Sillinger is great at both of those things. But I don't think, again, maybe a chemistry thing, I don't know, but like, they were fine. 51% of the shot attempt share. 14 shot attempts for, 13 against. But the Delbo Baloo's line had 13 shot attempts for and only 7 against. So, like, is that a Kent Johnson thing? We don't know. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Voronkov, Fantilli, Johnson look like for a full game. Like I said, Johnson on a point streak right now. Fantilli heating up. Dmitry Voronkov, 1 goal away from 20 goals. I believe he's into career highs for he just reached he set a new career high in goals and points with that goal against Dallas, against Dallas. 19 goals, 16 assists, 35 points. His previous career high was 34 points in 75 games last season. This season, he's got 35 points in only 45 games. So, like, again, there's 30 goal potential there with Voronkov, which is fun and exciting, and you love to see it, honestly. Like I said, Fantilli heating up. Kent Johnson also heating up. He's got 35 points in 40 games now. He's real close to setting a new career high. Fantilli is already on a new career high. Now, granted, he only played 50 games last season, or 49 games, I think, last season, but we're still counting it. In 54 games, he's got 31 points. It's a pretty good top line, and also a young top line. Like, Dmitry Voronkov is the oldest player on that line, and he's 24. He was born in the year 2000, if you would like to feel as old as I do this morning. But we'll see how it goes. Like I said, there's a lot to like about that top line. In terms of goaltending, my guess is that we'll probably see Vejmelka again, who I believe we saw last time. I'm just going to double check that because I don't trust myself to remember anything. Vejmelka, 3 goals on 23 shots. So, like, not his finest performance. Elvis was excellent. 2 goals on 34 shots. Tarasov played that game. So goaltending could be... If goaltending is the difference maker, I feel cautiously optimistic. Again, Daniil Tarasov has managed to raise his save percentage out of the depths of the league. Like, it's still not where we want it to be or need it to be. But instead of having, like, an 850 save percentage, he's worked his way up to an 876, which, considering how bad he was for the first, 2-3 months of the season, is honestly pretty impressive. Lesniakin's still kind of flirting around league average. He's got an 894 after the game on Tuesday, where I think he finished with, an 860 or an 870 or something like that. Again, not his best performance, also not his worst performance. Hopefully a bounce back from him. That's 2 games in a row with a sub 900 save percentage, although I do still credit the game in Dallas as a good game for Merzlikins, mostly because I've decided that the high stick goal shouldn't have counted, and so I'm not counting it in my personal stats. So, but sounds like we're going to see Merzlikins for the Blue Jackets. Merzlikins versus Vejmelka. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, Blue Jackets got excellent goaltending last time. And frankly, this is, again, it's not a must-win game, like, in a vacuum. It is a game against Utah on a Thursday night that, like, is what it is. You know, Utah is 6 points out of their playoff race. Blue Jackets only 1 point out. If they win tonight, and I'm going to go over the scores on the doors for, well, not scores on the doors, but the, like, who else is playing tonight? The schedule for tonight. Blue Jackets can jump to 61 points with a win tonight, which would put them, I believe, back into wildcard 1. Depending on what happens with Detroit, who won their 7th game in a row last night, because of course they did. Tampa and Boston both won, which is why Blue Jackets got dropped down. So they're currently, like I said, 1 point and 2 spots out of the wildcard spot, but a win tonight will put them right back in there. Providing tonight's games go their way. So Ottawa is facing Tampa Bay, so we need Ottawa to win in regulation there, really. It would be nice if Vegas beat New Jersey in regulation. They've crept back up. I think they're back to 7 points ahead of the Blue Jackets, but I think they still have 2 games in hand. I might be wrong about that. Philadelphia and Washington play each other. And I think that's it for the wild card stuff. Philadelphia's really kind of fallen out of it a little bit. They're currently sitting at 53 points. So yeah, New Jersey is sitting at 7 points with 1 game in hand over the Blue Jackets. So like again, not a ton of important there's not a ton of like important games tonight, but we could really use that. Like we could really use Tampa Bay losing in regulation, and we could also use the Devils losing in regulation. If both of those things happen, the Blue Jackets get back in a playoff spot, and they are 5 points behind the Devils again with a game in hand. So like they are keeping pace with third in the Metropolitan, and Carolina Hurricanes are only 2 points ahead of that in second place. So Washington feels unreachable. They're currently 17, 18 points ahead of the Blue Jackets, but like second or third in the Metro still feels reachable for the Blue Jackets, depending on how like the next month or so goes. I was going to say the next couple of weeks, but they've only got 2 games still. They've got 2 weeks off. So again, we'll see. Let's go to a quick break, and then when we get back, we'll go back to tonight's game. It's been a little bit of an all over the place episode this. I do apologize. But we'll talk about who to watch out for on Utah, who had a good game last time versus the Blue Jackets, and I believe there's a couple of faces that were not in the lineup last time that will be in the lineup tonight. So we'll talk about all of that in just a second. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Let's talk about the Utah Hockey Club, or the Utah Mammoth, or the Utah Outlaws, or whatever they would like to call themselves. Last time, they scored 2 goals on 34 shots. Nick Schmaltz on the power play, and then Alexander Kerfoot in at even strength went up to a 2-0 lead like 30 seconds into the third period. And then the Blue Jackets decided, actually, we'd like to win this game. And they did. But in terms of guys from that game that were in the lineup, like Clayton Keller is always going to be the guy to watch for me. 57 points in 52 games. Is the captain of this team now. Is still pretty young. Another Missouri-born player, just like Mathieu Olivier from Biloxi. Oh no, he's from Mississippi. I apologize, Biloxi, Mississippi. But an unusual. I feel like you don't get a lot of players that were born in Missouri, but Clayton Keller's always dangerous. He had 2 assists against the Blue Jackets when they played each other a week ago. He's definitely the guy to watch. But I believe Dylan Guenther didn't play the last time these two teams. He missed that game. He missed about a month. So we played January 8th and then didn't play again until Philadelphia a couple of nights ago. So, and he had 2 goals and an assist in that game. So like, he's a guy to watch. Which it probably says something about about Utah, that he's leading their like scoring. So in the last 5 games, he has 2 goals. He has 2 goals in that one game. So in the 4 games previous, no one else has more than 1 goal. So their offense is kind of drying up, which is good news for the Blue Jackets. Again, Clayton Keller, always dangerous. He has 4 assists in his last 5 games, or 4 points in his last 5 games, including a goal. But Dylan Guenther's the guy to watch out for. He's going to be dangerous. I feel like he's burned the Blue Jackets before, but I'll be interested to see. This feels again like a game that is going to be won in regulate. A game that's going to be won at 5-on-5, or 3-on-3 at even strength. Either way, Blue Jackets allowed 1 power play goal and scored 0 in the last time these two teams matched up against each other. Utah currently 15th in power play percentage. Blue Jackets have dropped all the way to 17th. But then Utah has the 7th best penalty kill in the league, whereas the Blue Jackets have the 26th. So like, we maybe pencil in another Utah power play goal. I hope not, but that seems like that might be the way it's going. But Utah can't seem to score goals while they're pretty good at not allowing them. So they're scoring 2.7 goals a game, which is 24th in the league, but they're allowing 2.92, which is 14th in the league. So they're not scoring as many as they allow, but when you look at their numbers versus the Blue Jackets, who are scoring 3.24 goals per game, which is 8th in the league, they're also allowing 3.3 goals per game, which is 26th in the league. Now, admittedly, 26th is higher than where they were like this time last month, let's say, but this could be an interesting game. This could be I feel like every time I say this, it turns into like a 2-1 game. So maybe I'll just keep this going. Like, this could be a high-scoring game. You know, that was kind of how I felt about the first time these two teams faced off against each other, and also how I felt about the Buffalo game. But this could be the high scoring game that we have kind of collectively been waiting for from the Blue Jackets. It's been a minute since they've scored more than 3 goals. I feel like in a game. I'm just gonna double check the calendar to make sure that I'm not making stuff up, because I do that sometimes. But the last time these teams faced off against each other, it was a 3-2 game. But sorry, the last time the Blue Jackets scored more than 3 goals in a game was January 22nd against the Leafs, when they had a 5-1 win. And then before that was January 16th, which was a 4-1 win. And then before that, January 9th, which was a 6-2 win. So they know how to score goals. It'll be difficult with Marchenko out of the lineup, but I believe in them and their ability to figure it out. Especially, I think Fantilli, Johnson, Voronkov, that's the line to watch for me tonight. I think that's going to be fun and exciting, and hopefully gets it done. In terms of predictions, again, my head is saying one thing and my heart is saying the other, and I feel like I went into the middle last time and was almost right. I think I predicted a 3-1 win for the Blue Jackets, and the final score was 3-2 the other way. So, like, I wasn't right at all, but I felt almost right, like, I was 90% of the way there on 90% of things, which is actually just like a 0% success rate. But hey, stick with me here. I'm going to say that this is going to be a 2-1 Blue Jackets win. And I'm going to say that we're going to get a Dmitry Voronkov goal. I think he's going to get his 20th goal of the season tonight. I feel pretty good about that. So we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow, I don't think I'll be able to get an episode out tomorrow because I am traveling. But Saturday morning, for sure, we will get an episode out about tonight's game and previewing the Rangers game. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for listening, for making it your first listen of the day every single day. And until tomorrow, which, not tomorrow, Saturday, until Saturday, make sure you stay locked on.